real estate
affects the market as a whole, which then sometimes will affect the 10-year.
Right. It'll come in.
to real life.
We all learn in different ways. If you think about it, Wayne Dyer might not attract everybody.
And everything in between.
Mission was really to help people just to reach their full potential.
The Brad Wiseman Show. And now, your host, Brad Wiseman.
All right, we're back. This is an interesting situation, I have to say. The guest that we have today is from New York City area, and we actually attempted to do a podcast about maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. And we were doing it streaming, and it didn't work. Well, it worked for like 45 minutes or like that, 3/4 of the way through, and then all of a sudden it just stopped. So he said, let's do it again. And I said, you know what, let's do something even better. Let's have you come into the studio. So today we have Zach, and I'm going to screw up your last name, I know I always do, Tsakiris.
Close enough.
Tsakiris, there it is. Zach Tsakiris. He has a company called FastWill.com. I want to say thanks for coming down. It was not a nice day today.
It was a really great drive. It really was. We drove through the countryside. I mean, it was beautiful, and you guys have
that's cool.
Beautiful set here. So
Thanks, man. I appreciate that.
Great to
and he
be
brought
in person.
His girlfriend, who is also social media guru, right?
Yes.
For the company.
Anna.
Her name's Anna. Hi, Anna. How you doing? See, I knew we could get something out of her, right? So let's get into this. We talked a little bit about it last time, but this time I really want to dig in about FastWill.com. Obviously, the name pretty much says what it is,
yes.
Which is pretty simple. But tell me where you came up with the idea of doing wills and trusts online. Like, how did you get to that?
Yeah, so I started off in the financial services space, doing retirement planning, life insurance, stuff like that. I told you last time, I was very new to the business. When I got in, a lot of the times, young advisors are bouncing around to a lot of different niches. The whole pitch of, I'm 23, let me manage your money, let me make these decisions for you.
Yeah, doesn't always work.
Not always.
Yeah,
right?
not usually.
Not always. So I worked around with nurses, doctors, tried a bunch of different niches with very mild success. I ended up at the end of my career working alongside an estate planning attorney who was doing a lot of irrevocable life insurance trust, planning with people with a lot of commercial real estate and stuff like that. And what I noticed was a lot of these same estate planning attorneys, for sort of their mid-tier clients, they were I don't want to say overcharging, but just the price points didn't really align with someone who just needed a basic will or a basic living trust. People really shouldn't be paying $1,500, $2,000, $3,000 for those documents. Of course, there are situations where you need to see an attorney if you have a really complex estate, but that's really not the case for most people. Most people need pretty standard planning documents. You can cover a lot of stuff, and I think sometimes people associate trust like you have to be ultra wealthy to have a trust, which is just not the case at all. So if you are in a situation where you have 10, 20 million plus, it probably is a great idea to sit down with an estate planning attorney. But just the average person saving for retirement, working up just $500,000 to $1.5 million, you really shouldn't be paying that amount for a will or trust. So.
Yeah, and it's interesting because so some of the stats I saw, you said 60% of Americans don't have wills. Yeah, which I think one of the reasons for that, I would think, is because they're scared of what they're going to get into. Because like we said before, nobody wants to talk about death. Yeah, nobody wants to go. There's nobody going, oh, let's go to a bar, have a drink, and talk about us dying. That doesn't happen to it. Well, maybe some people do. I don't know, but that's not what happens. And I think the other thing is the expense. Yeah. The unknown is that they don't know what's going to cost, and nobody wants to go into an attorney or whoever and go, I want to do my will. They tell you the price, and you're like, ooh, I can't afford it. Yeah. At least online, you're upfront. You're telling them about what it's going to cost, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, and I mean, as you said, I think that's one of the reasons. I think another one is that people don't entirely understand what happens if they don't have a will. I think a lot of people, they kind of know they should have one. They've heard it from friends or family. Usually it takes kind of an unfortunate situation to really create enough pain to actually go out and do it. At FastWill, really just about making the process easy. simple, convenient. Of course, the price point is great, but you can go through the process in about 15 minutes. You can sign and notarize your documents from home. We're really here just to make it easy. And for the people that don't understand what happens if you don't have estate planning, you're putting a lot of those decisions in the state's hand, in the government's hand. So if
which we know is not a good idea.
Not a good idea. Usually
for anything.
For anything, exactly.
Much anything.
If you've ever been,
they will screw it up.
If you ever been to the DMV, right? These guys are awesome. These guys are doing a great. You know, it's sometimes. You know, hopefully, but So you know, if you don't have a will in place, the government will make it for you. It's called dying intestate.
Right.
And they have all kinds of decisions they can make. If your children are under 18, they can appoint guardianship. They decide.
That part blows my mind.
It's crazy.
That
and
part
a lot
blows
of people
my
don't
mind.
know that.
That you're
Exactly.
saying that the government in those situations, if you don't have anything written down, I have 2 kids, and there's just no easy like a grandmother or anything around or anybody can. The state then decides where the kids go.
They do, and they'll do their best to
Sure.
work things out. But oftentimes, I mean, as we know, like around the holiday time, Thanksgiving, Christmas, sometimes siblings can have different opinions. Sometimes in families, sometimes there's different dynamics. So we're really all about just making the process simple and just get these decisions done. You know, make the decisions and forget about it. You know, just take 15 minutes. But as you said, I think cost is another thing. I think just the association with kind of driving to meet with an estate planning attorney, it can be kind of intimidating for people.
Sure.
You know, we also have attorney resources. We have a nationwide network of attorneys where you can get on a phone or a Zoom call and check in if you just need some extra guidance, kind of a line-by-line review of your
Is that an add-on then at that point?
It's an add-on.
It's an add-on. So what do you think what's the average cost of somebody going into your FastWill.com site? What's the average cost somebody's paying? I mean, you probably have that number.
Of course, yeah. So our will package is $199 for singles, $249 for couples.
That's amazing.
And then we do a revocable living trust for $499 for singles and $599 for couples. That attorney support, if you want that hour call just to check in, that's an extra $300. And then you can also sign and notarize your documents from home for an extra $50.
Amazing.
Yeah.
It's unbelievable. No, it's a great service. It really is. So what do you find... why do you find people are not doing wills? Is there a reason? Is it just the money? Is it the scariness of an attorney? Like, is it just avoidance because they don't want to come to terms with those things?
I think it's probably a cocktail of all those things. I mean, I think information is one, too. I don't think there's a ton of education on these topics. They're not talked about often. And as you alluded to, no one's really going to the bar and kind of chit-chatting about
And if they
stuff.
do, they're probably not a good friend.
Exactly.
It's not somebody I want to have a drink with. Hugo, we don't talk about that stuff, do we? No, I didn't think so.
Exactly. I think it's just something that people put off. I mean, we put off stuff all the time, right?
Yep, so true.
And you know, it's one of those things that just, it takes a lot to really get the motivation to go out and do that. It's just every day, I'll do it tomorrow, I'll do it next week.
So true.
And then it's usually something nasty or unfortunate that happens that's like, okay, now we need to get this done. And, you know, you would have avoided so much of all that back and forth in your head if you just take 15 minutes and do it.
Do you think some people think, oh, I'm not old enough? Not thinking that we're all terminal.
Absolutely.
And not to be morbid, but, you know, none of us know that end date. So I think a lot of people just probably think, well, a will. That's something that my parents should do, not me.
Definitely,
right?
100%. And I mean, you do see some young families or some home buyers, or when people have kids, you know, usually it's aligned with financial planning. Oftentimes, you know, life events are big for financial planners, right? So someone having married, someone having kids, someone retiring, that's when a lot of planning is done. People buy insurance, people roll over accounts, and hopefully, if you're getting married, you're having a conversation with your spouse about these things, because of course it's very important. So major life events, I would say, sometimes prompt people to do it. Usually it's something unfortunate that happens where they're like, okay, we really need to get this done. Aunt Kathy didn't have this done. We need to get it done. But yeah, I think for the most part, people put it off, and it's kind of an annoying process right now.
Well, it's funny you say that, because when we went to finally do this, and this is after we had children, you know, because we had heard from different people and attorneys that we know, said, you know, you really should, once you have children, it's very, very important that you get a will done, because of where are they going to go? Who's going to watch them? God forbid we're both go down in a plane crash or something, the two of us, and now there's no parent, and that's just the worst tragedy. So there was and that's what I think was interesting is once I realized the kind of questions and the kind of things that I was going to have to answer while we were doing the will, that made me realize how important it is. Yeah. I think sometimes you just don't think about the depth of the questions. Definitely. And then all of a sudden you're listening to these questions, you're thinking, Jesus, I can't believe I even thought about not doing this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of interesting questions like, who's pulling the plug? I mean, exactly. You hear that all the time. And my wife said if I have a hangnail, I'm done. So I don't know if that's normal or not.
Yeah, it's more normal than you'd think.
Hey guys, I want to take a second and thank Comfort Pro. Since 2001, Comfort Pro has been helping customers stay comfortable where they live, work, and play. They have 24/7 emergency service and a 100% customer satisfaction guarantee. If you need help with your heating and air conditioning or indoor air quality, call Comfort Pro at 484-917-1803. Mention the show and receive a free humidifier with the installation of a complete system. She's looking for reasons. She's like, you're not even plugged in and I want to unplug you, She uses the remote on me sometimes. Doesn't turn me off at all.
I have a question.
Oh, you got a question?
So
go ahead.
Can you tell us, for me and for the audience out there, what is the simplest difference of a will and a trust?
That's a great question, and it's very simple. A trust avoids the probate process. So the probate process is a process where the government's going to review your estate. They're going to go through all your stuff. And if you die intestate without a will, they'll make those decisions for you. A will is like a set of instructions for the court. So you bring that will in, you give it to them, and they'll carry out all your wishes via the executor. A trust just bypasses that process altogether. So if you're a trust, nothing goes to the government. Nothing goes to the court. It's in its own entity. It's in what's called a revocable living trust. There's other types of trust, but that's...
But who oversees that? Who oversees that? Like, what if somebody's not doing what's on the trust? I mean, does it get legal at some point if it had to? I'm sure it would, right?
So the executor's in charge.
Okay, so they're in charge.
The wishes on the trust.
Okay, got it.
Exactly.
Kind of like the executor on a will, but... That's ultimately there's a judge. There's also somebody else that's making decisions.
And you also have that trustee that's involved in distributing assets and stuff like that, has more control over the financials. But yes, to address your question, just trust skips the court process.
Okay,
simple as that.
Cool.
Yeah, the trust just gets it out of the government's hand.
And it's an entity, like he said last time, Hugo, when we were trying to record this. Yeah. It's an entity. It's like almost like an LLC in a way, as opposed to it being a personal thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's amazing. I'm surprised, and I'm starting to see more of those. Being in the real estate field, we are seeing more of those where the owner of the properties the owners of the property. It'll say a trust as opposed to
super common in real estate.
Yeah, and I think it's because maybe they're getting older or whatever, and they want to just wrap it all into one place so that when they pass, it's real easy. I guess the house just goes into the trust or it's part of the trust.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, and I'm seeing more and more of that. So it must be. Is there tax reasons also? Wasn't there something we talked about with tax reasons with that? Yeah.
Yeah. Lot of advantages on the trust side of things in terms of taxes, like just giving you example, especially just pertaining to real estate. Yeah. So what a lot of people will do is people that own a large amount of commercial real estate or residential, they'll open up a irrevocable life insurance trust.
Yeah.
They'll put all of that real estate in the trust. They'll also buy a large life insurance policy that has a death benefit that's around what the estate tax bill is going to be.
Oh, yeah.
So when they kick the bucket, that death benefit shoots out. It's tax-free. They pay the estate tax bill because we know, right, if we own lots of properties and we have 9 months to sell them, probably not going to get the best deal, right?
Probably not.
Whenever you're forced selling. Yeah. So people with large real estate portfolios, there's all kinds of tax advantages that trusts have. But for the average person, I think the value of the trust is really just keeping it out of the government's hands and just having more control, because that's really what it's all about. You don't want the government going through your stuff. I don't think anyone does.
Anything about that you've seen as like hiccups with people doing it online? Are you having any kind of people that are like that get stressed out and then they end up not doing it online, or they're like, this doesn't work or anything like that, just because of people go online, sometimes they get a little like confused.
So it's a great question, and it's so awesome that we're doing this podcast 2 weeks later, because we actually just recently added our live guidance feature.
Awesome.
And that currently is free. So anyone can come to our site and hop on with a live rep to walk you through the process, one question at a time, make sure you understand everything you're doing. Cool. And that's totally free.
Yeah.
We can't say it'll be free forever, but right now it is free. It is exploding for us because we do get a lot of that demographic. It's a great question that's between 60 to 75, and the online option may be convenient for them. It may take less time, but they might not understand everything.
Yeah, I just think about in our business with real estate. There's times when we're doing DocuSign and things like that, and people get a little confused, or they need a little help getting through the process. So I didn't know if you had something in place that helps with that, and it sounds like you do. Which is
definitely,
cool.
We have the live guidance, and then we also have 24/7 live support with real people. And it's interesting because, AI is exploding right now. AI chatbots, you have stuff like Ada, 6-figure products that companies are investing in. And it's funny, I think we're really moving in the other direction.
Yeah.
With FastWill, we want real people, live interactions. We want people to be able to talk with a real person.
Sure.
And,
especially when you're talking about your will, I would think some people would be like, I want to make sure this isn't a bot or an AI person that's telling me what's going to happen, or when I'm not here.
Yes, and we're a very service-based business, and as you alluded to, people want to talk to real people.
Sure.
I mean, there's different demographics out there. I completely get if a certain type of company wants to have an optimized AI bot. With our demographic, we really just focus on making it easy and connecting you with real people that can help you through the process.
What is your demographic? Just curious, like as far as age-wise, like where do you think who is seeing this and going, oh, thank goodness, I need to do this?
I would say it's two. I would say it's new young families, and then I'd say it's that retiree, pre-retiree kind of sweet spot around 60 to 70, 55 to 70. That's a big demographic you see. But then you do also see the new families, people that are just getting married, just having kids. Yeah. So those are really our two demographics.
So there's that in between.
There is.
Those are the partiers, is what those are.
Yeah.
Those are the people that are partying their asses off, and they really don't care what happens. And we'll get them eventually.
Eventually. It might take a little longer.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a part of I think all of our lives where you just feel I'm going to be here forever. This is 100%. It's all good.
Your mindset completely shifts.
Absolutely. Yeah. So let's go into we were talking about the healthcare proxy. Let's get into that a little bit more. That you actually do those too, or that you can build that into the will, letting whoever's around, if you're not coherent, when you don't want anything hooked up to you.
Yeah, so we have state-specific advanced care directives, which is also known as a living will. So it's different in every state. We have all 50 states. And as you spoke about before, the pulling the plug conversations, that's...
It's just the only way I can think of how to say it. It's the way we always say it.
It's the perfect way to say it.
Is it actually a plug, you think? Do you think they actually just pull?
I've always wondered.
It's probably better than that. I'm thinking it's like a button or something.
That goes, dude...
Yeah, that thing there. You just wonder if they pull that, or if it,
I don't know.
If you could look into that for us for the next time, that'd be great. Yeah. Or is it maybe just a power strip that they hit a button and everything goes?
I was watching Better Call Saul the other day.
Oh, there you go.
It was the thing flatlined.
Yeah.
I didn't see a plug.
You didn't see? Yeah, that's what's so funny. I just wonder if it's a plug or not. Somebody, we're going to catch shit for this. People will be, oh, you're so shallow and cold. That's all right.
Red.
What's that?
So insensitive.
So insensitive. Yes. Well, okay.
Apologies.
But it's all my fault. So let's move on with the healthcare thing. So that's if somebody's ill and they're maybe not able to make those decisions, you can actually appoint somebody to do that.
Yes. So the advanced care directives, exactly like you said, if you become incapacitated, for example, if you got in a car accident, you were in a coma, there's all kinds of decisions to be made there. What type of surgeries you want, what type of insurance, what type of care. Do you want to pull the plug? What do you want to happen? As you alluded to, a lot of people think a will is just when you pass away, right? But those are all decisions that, you're not gone.
Yeah.
Those are active decisions that you have to make. And if you just think of the stress that can put on your partner, stress that can put on your kids, and it's so quick, it's so quick to have that conversation. And if you can just imagine getting in these situations where something like that would happen and you have a family dispute over that, that can be really bad, So
and
yeah,
it's funny that you say, because when we went through the process once again, there was the questions were about the financial stuff was interesting.
Yeah.
Like, it's not only the kids, it's who's going to be in charge of our finances for the kids.
Yeah.
And that was it's an interesting conversation because, you know, my parents are still living, her parents are still living. I have a brother, she has a sister. You know, so that conversation's an interesting. Luckily, we pretty much, she said, "What do you think?" And I'm like, "Yeah, absolutely. That's the person that needs to do that, and this is the person that needs to do that."
Yeah.
And you we agreed, but I can imagine where there's situations where they don't agree.
Yeah.
Where they're like, well, your brother's irresponsible, and he's not going to be able to take care of the kids. And you know,
absolutely,
that could be pretty interesting. Now, in those situations, when they're filling this stuff out, is there any Q&A areas where they can say, where it says, "Hey, if you're having a question about this, consider this"? Or is there is there stuff in there that does that? Or is that when you go, okay, time to call, you might want to get an attorney involved?
So we have tons of customizations. It's interesting you touch on that, you know, as we spoke a little bit before our call, that some people are unaware that a lot of attorneys use software to do their documents to this day. One of our partners, Seth Schlessel, he has a large estate planning law firm in Long Island in New York. Cool. And we actually teamed up with our developer and expanded on the software that he was already using. To, you know, address the specifics with us, I mean, we have everything from a pet section, a social media section. You could request to play a certain song at your funeral.
Oh, wow.
You know, there's tons of areas where you can add in pretty much every detail you can think of.
Are your kitchen and bathroom remodels a little overdue? Well, now's your chance to call First Response Contracting. John Sellers will take care of you. 484-256-7136. They do residential and commercial, and they're licensed and insured. Give them a call at 484-256-7136. Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So that stuff can be covered in there, or what you're going to do with certain things or whatever.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you get a lot of the song things? Do you get a lot of, did they do that a lot? Is that a popular one?
We get all kinds of stuff. Yeah,
and the pet thing, I mean, I guess the pet would be, where's the pet going, right?
Where's the pet going?
Does the dog have a say?
Who gets the Instagram account?
Who gets the Instagram
who
account?
Gets the YouTube channel?
You know, my gosh! Years ago, it was who's getting my records? I mean, that's
exactly.
pretty.
It changes it, and it's.
Oh my gosh! It's a lot of things to decide.
Absolutely. There are more and more things to decide.
Who gets the studio? Hugo.
Right,
are you in my will or what?
That's
What's going to happen? I don't even know.
This podcast, Brad.
family recipes.
Oh wow!
So
that's a different one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hugo, this is a question you would ask. What's the strangest thing you've seen? Right? That's usually what he would say. What's the strangest thing you've seen in a will?
Yeah.
But recipes.
You get all kinds of stuff. It's really interesting.
Wow.
You see when people do get past that, you know, initial section, they just start having fun with it. You know,
yeah,
they really just realize, wow, you know, there's tons of stuff we can include here.
Look at ashes. Oh my God, I've seen things about ashes where they spread them in the weirdest places.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, it's pretty wild. You know what's interesting? We had a guy, my buddy Wes Mucky, remember? He was just in here not too long ago, and he said that one of the strangest requests he's had is when the person died, they wanted their ashes not only in the urn that he made, custom made out of clay, but the ashes are in the clay. They wanted their ashes in the clay.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so he did it. I mean, he obviously did it because it was a request in the will that the person was really into clay or into pottery, and he said it was the weirdest thing. He's pouring the ashes while he's doing the clay. That's
interesting. We've got
pretty crazy.
We've gotten stuff like that where people want ashes put into rings. Diamonds.
Wow.
There's companies. I guess that do
they
that
infuse
now.
it. I guess
they infuse it in the diamonds. But it's amazing. I mean, there's all types of stuff you'd never think about. I mean, I think a lot of people there's the obvious stuff like the house and the accounts and the kids and stuff. But as you're alluding to, and what's funny too is sometimes these are more difficult conversations to have than the simple stuff. You think like, okay, the big thing is going to be the house, or the big thing is going to be and sometimes people are
the small things, the weird stuff is where it gets caught up.
Or mom's cup or something like that. There's all different
the cookie
types.
jar or something.
Cookie jar,
seriously,
100%.
That's crazy. Unbelievable. Thank gosh, Wes isn't a baker. You know what I mean? We had to put the ashes in the cupcakes for the funeral. That would be terrible. Absolutely terrible. So let's go into a little bit about like the executor thing. We talked about this before. Like, what's the difference between executor, executrix, administrator? Are they all the same thing? Because a lot of people like want to know what executrix is versus executor. Is there a difference in those people? Like, is there any difference in what they do?
So the executor is the person that's in charge of carrying out the person's wishes in the will. So they're that person that is going to review the documents after it's happened and just make sure that everything is being carried out.
What if somebody disagrees?
So
what if I'm like a disgruntled brother and I say, I don't believe mom would do that to me?
So that's why you have the notary, right? Because if you notarize your documents, they can't be disputed in court. So that's why we have the remote notarization that's interesting. Effectively makes it official.
Because now it was signed in front of the notary, stamped by the person that passed away.
Exactly.
Wow. Didn't think of that before. I got to check and see if ours is notarized. I'm pretty sure. Hopefully it is. Yeah. Amazing. Is there anything else?
Something, and sorry to.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. It's interesting because if you look at, the process of getting documents notarized, it's amazing how many people don't have their wills notarized.
Oh man.
Hopefully it's not getting disputed, but in those situations where it can be disputed, it really helps to have your documents notarized.
Interesting. We were just talking about that today with somebody else, and somebody said, "Oh, you don't have to have them notarized," but there you go. There's a good. I mean, obviously, if somebody contests it, then it's a problem.
Exactly.
If it's not notarized.
Exactly.
Yeah, because anybody could have signed it.
Absolutely.
With technology today, they could have done something,
Exactly. And that's crazy. Why it is, COVID really helped. You referenced DocuSign, COVID really helped with that.
Oh,
you had
absolutely.
companies like just exploding with the ability to notarize things remotely, which, hopefully will have a great effect on people because, they'll be able to do it much more conveniently. And a lot of, when we started this business, one of the things that we did was just read negative reviews of competitors to see, how can we improve, what not to do. And one of the most common things you saw was, I thought we did this from home. I had to go out to a bank to get it notarized. And it was kind of convenient for us because we started this a few years ago, right at the start of that remote notary wave. And we're like, we need to have this, because if we're going to be an at-home solution, it has to be an at-home solution. We want you to be able to create, sign, witness, and notarize.
And then all they do is just print it out? Is it
just print it out?
And then that's it.
They can store it on our server.
No original gets sent or anything like that?
Nope.
No
original gets sent. So they can store on our server. Everyone has a login and password, and then they also have editability. So if their life situation changes, they can go back and edit the documents. They also have sort of a nice financial portfolio. We have software that extrapolates the asset information from the will or trust.
Wow.
So that gives them sort of a clean overview of their investment accounts, their real estate, any insurance policies. And then we also have functionality on the back end for financial advisors and insurance agents to get access to that information, just to help them with planning and recommendations and stuff like that.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. There's a lot more in there with that than I thought. You have any other questions, Hugo?
No, I did, and it escaped my mind. There was a question.
You're getting older. That's what it is.
I know. I can't think of it right now.
No problem.
It's really interesting to learn about this.
It is. It's very interesting. And I think what the biggest thing that we want to gain from this is that it's called FastWill.com. It is a place that you can go to get your will or trust done at a very good price. And is it one of those things where do you do all the questions and then you get paid? You have to pay, or is it pay up front and then you get the questions? I mean, how does it work on the website?
So that's a great question. So we have 5 sections to our plans, and we let them do the first section for free, just so they get a feel of the process, the question flow exactly, and then they get to choose to commit, and then they can finish the final 4 sections.
Awesome, very cool. Is there anything else you want to add to this?
Not really. I guess I just touch on sort of our B2B model as well, because we have two different sides to our business. So we've touched on the B2C, which is, as you said, very simple. Come to our site, create wills, trusts, meet with attorneys, notarize your documents, just estate planning made simple. We also have our B2B component where we have a SaaS platform for advisors and agents to send out wills and trusts to their clients. We also have things like direct calendar booking, auto fact finding, as I referenced. So with financial services, the discovery process is just extremely important, right? Because if we're sitting down and we have to come up with a insurance policy or roll over an account or discuss some ETFs, like we have to know everything that's going on, right? We can't leave out any detail. And from the advisor's perspective, if they're able to use this to prospect or even use with an existing client, in that situation, and that client can go through the process and they can sort of have that, we call it a fact finder before the meeting, where each advisor is going to get a client profile. So it's going to go over everything from their assets, their insurance, even financial questions they answered. So we have a financial section to the flow that's optional.
Whole overview.
Whole overview, exactly. And it just, to really simplify it, it's really helpful to have that overview before you meet with the person. Just because you kind of get an idea on where they're at, and it's just going to help improve your recommendations and kind of know how to guide them better. It saves the advisor a lot of time. It also allows them a great tool in the toolbox to prospect with, because there's all different kinds of lead generation services out there. But I think in 2025, you really need to add with value. You have to have a way to set yourself apart. So we have the ability for advisors to come on our platform. It's an annual subscription. They get to send out wills and trusts. They also get to earn 100% commission if they choose to. They can give them out. They can discount them. They can charge full price. And then we also white label that software with some larger enterprise clients as well. So there's really two sides to our business, and they really work together. Because our partners get to take advantage of our live support, our live guidance, and all of the fact finding. And then, of course, with our users, we have ability to introduce them to financial advisors.
It's a one-stop shop.
So exactly, one-stop shop. So it helps people on both ends. So that's the only other thing I'd add. It's
that's awesome, man.
We have that B2B side to our business.
Very cool. Annie, do you have anything to add?
No, I think it's all been covered.
Just checking. I just want to make sure. All right, hey, thanks for making the drive down here,
so
both
much,
of you. And it didn't work the first time, we got it the second time, which is cool.
Yes,
that's the beauty of having the studio, right?
Thanks again. Congratulations on everything.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Very cool. All right, there you go. There's Zach. I'm not even going to say his last name because I'll screw it up. But it's FastWill.com. It's a digital approach to estate planning that makes legal protection accessible to thousands of families who previously couldn't afford it. So there you go. Get out there and get your will done, your trust. This is the guy you want to talk to. He's going to help you out. All right, that's about it. See you every Thursday at 7 p.m. All righty.